Last time we were on here, we were talking about listening. I come from a background in music, so the idea of listening kind of resonates with me. And I also got involved with Nada Yoga at one point, which is a school of yoga which is kind of looking at sound, and it has these very specific, subtle listening practices that start with the ears. Yeah. So essentially, if you read something like John Klein, he would talk about listening. Yeah, Nisargadatta too. Last time we used a Nisargadatta statement from a book somewhere. So essentially, our nature would be open listening. So, oh hey B. Our nature would be open listening. Now the thing is about not this idea of not to or non-duality, it's always that, yeah? So when someone hears that, or when the head hears that idea that your nature is open listening, right away the head claims that idea and goes, okay, well, I am open listening, but it doesn't feel that way. Because the head that claims the idea that you are open listening is not the open listening. You can hear the head claim that idea, essentially. You can hear the head through the vessel of thought and, let's say, internal speech, pronounce it's grabbing on and becoming open listening. But the thing is, what you are is open listening. You're not going to become open listening. What you are is open listening. And what is heard within that open listening would be what you're not. So it's not like this isn't a message of becoming. It's a message of you are what you're looking for now. So there's no turn that has to be made in order to become what you are. Because a lot of times this message gets heard, and then the head goes, okay, it like goes to war in a way. I have to do a bunch of stuff now to get what that message is saying. But that is not the message. The message is that you are open listening now, and what is being heard is what you are not. So when the head turns on, in a way, and says, I'm going to become now, I'm going to do a bunch of things to become, that is what you are not, because it is what is heard. So if we revisit the Huang Po, what is being perceived is not what is perceiving. You can perceive the mental system, hear this message, claim it, and then go, I'm not that right now, so I'm going to become it. All of that is of what you are not. So that would get negated. Yeah, you are the open listening of what you're hearing. And what you're hearing is what you are not. It becomes a little tricky in a way because your head is talking to you as you. And in AA we call that self, small s self, not big S Ramana self, but small s self. You can hear that voice. And this is why the thing about listening is so great, because listening is very receptive. It's very this way and not this way. Thinking and talking goes out the senses, essentially. But listening is it's super receptive, very receptive. And then whatever has something to say about what is being heard, you are not that. It's the interesting thing about music. People hear music or something, and then they have all kinds of opinions about that music, yeah? But what has opinions about that music is what they are not. That is not their absolute, let's say, awareness or open listening. So the main point here is it's not that you're going to become open listening. You are open listening now, yeah? The method of listening practices from Nada Yoga or Chan Buddhism or something are ways just to uncover what already is. Yeah? So the method is, let's like the same as self-inquiry. The method is like a thorn You have a thorn in your foot, you take another thorn, you take out the thorn in your foot, you throw both of them away. You don't hold on to the method. Because if you hold on to the method, then you're holding on to the one who's doing the method, which is the identification with self, which would be the epitome of the problem in many, many ways. So, when it comes to listening, or the idea, that concept, and of course concepts are not the thing, but concepts are what we have, so here we are. But the concept of listening, you are open listening now. What is being heard is what you are not. So again, when your head hears this message, it claims this message, and it either says, I'm the knower of that message, or I'm not that message yet. So I'm going to become whatever that message is saying. And ironically enough, the message is about that movement. You are not that movement of becoming. You are what you're looking for as open listening now. So what is being heard is not what is hearing. The same way Huang Po says, what is being perceived is not what is perceiving. What is being perceived is not what is perceiving. So you can perceive the room around you. You can perceive the device that you're watching this on. You can perceive the sounds, maybe inside or outside, wherever you are. Yeah. That can all be perceived. So it is not what is perceiving. Yeah. Okay. Then you can perceive your eyes. And you can perceive your ears and your nose and your mouth. And you can perceive your body. So what is being perceived is not what is perceiving. So if you can perceive those things, that must not be your nature. You can perceive thoughts. You can hear thoughts in a way, not with the ears, but from before thoughts, yeah? That's right. And then you can hear your head go, I perceive thoughts. What is being heard is not what is hearing. So if you can hear your head pronounce I or me, you mustn't be that me from your nature, yeah? Because you can perceive that. So then that would leave you in what, like Ramana says, what remains? What remains when all of the dualities of your experience are negated? The eyes see objects. So you are not the objects, you are not the eyes. There's thoughts, and then there's the sense that you are the seer of those thoughts. That would put you in a position of two-ness, which means you're not the thoughts, nor are you the thinker of those thoughts. Very interesting. There's a body, and then there's the sense of being the one who perceives the body, or knows the body. Yes? Which would mean you're not the body, nor are you what is perceiving the body. What is being perceived is not what is perceiving. Those statements are amazing because they end so many things. Yeah? When your head wakes up in the morning and says, okay, I have to get free, you can perceive that. So that would essentially negate that movement right there as what you are or what you need to listen to, let's say. Yeah? The thing about listening, this is one thing that I find very interesting, both in AA and recovery and also in practice, whatever practice, yeah? Just for lack of a better term. So the listening of, as our nature is open. Open. Meaning it's not non-directional. It's just everywhere, let's say. Wide open, yeah? But most of us are listening to something. Directing attention to something. Yeah? And most of the time, that direction is going to the mental system. So rather than open listening, rather than just listening, we're listening to something. Yeah? Now, if we're listening to something, that would mean that we're identifying with that something. So when the head talks to you as you, and you listen to it, we are now bound to that head. That would be the bondage of self. There's no glue there. The listening to the head has us identified and bound to that mental system. Now, it's the only radio station playing in a way. So if you're listening to the mental system and taking that mental system to be you, then no matter what that mental system presents to you, it's going to be obeyed. It doesn't matter how insane it's going to be. Like when I was drinking and whatever, it would suggest insane things, yes? But it was the only thing that was being listened to. Wasn't listening to anyone else. Wasn't listening to anything else. Just listening to the mental system. Now that is the bondage of self. And when I'm listening, I'm going to hear it, take those thoughts to be my thoughts, and that my is very critical. And if those thoughts are my thoughts, then I'm going to obey those thoughts. The thing is, what is being perceived is not what is perceiving. I can perceive those thoughts. But those thoughts are playing in what you would say, you need to stop playing God, would be like a primary thing in Alcoholics Anonymous, yeah, or any 12-step, whatever. You need to stop playing God. So that's very interesting if you look at the Huang Po, what is being perceived is not what is perceiving. Because if I need to stop playing God, that means there's something playing God which is taken to be J. The mental system is playing God because when it perceives something, it is taking itself to be the God from its view. Wow. So the head is interpreting life. Whatever's going on, it's claiming, labeling, perceiving, and interpreting life. What is that but playing God? Yeah? You're not doing that because there is no doer, but that's what's happening. So the head is interpreting, perceiving life from its own conditioned stance, from however it's perceiving life from its own programming or conditioning. It's then talking that perception. If I'm listening to the head, then I am living essentially under the head's orders. And the head is playing God. And if I'm living under its orders, then essentially I'm playing God with life. This is so good. So the head is going to continue playing God because it can't stop. This is a sense of subjectivity, perceiving and interpreting life, yeah? And it's playing God with life. So when they say you need to stop playing God, what they're saying is you need to stop obeying your head. And in 12-step recovery, that head is called self, and self-reliance is what has failed us. So there's a huge difference between listening openly to all of the contents of experience and listening to. Listening to is very pointed. And if I'm listening to the mental system, I'm going to obey that mental system as me. Yeah? And then whatever that head presents, it's probably going to put me in some weird, very uncomfortable situations. So, to stop playing God, I'm going to stop living or listening to that sense of the mental. Yeah? And it's not the thoughts that kill us, it's the bondage to self. Self is not killing me, yeah? The thoughts are not killing me. It's the sense that those are my thoughts. It's the my that kills me. When contents are happening, no problem. But when it's the contents of me, like let's say this is my body, the head is seeing, when it says me, it sees a body, obviously. Yes? So if this is my body, and I'm bound to that sense of myness, then I'm bound to what happens to the body. And this body is going to be good and then bad. Healthy, sick, whatever it's going to do, yeah? So the my is like the glue for the bondage of self. And if I'm listening to that my, then I'm listening to everything that comes after it. And I'm taking it very seriously. As if it's in absolute truth, because the head is playing God. So if that's my head, then those are my thoughts. And that means I'm going to obey those thoughts. Okay? So the thing about the listening is that it's open. What you are in our nature is open listening. It can't be located somewhere, and it's not directed at anything. It's open, so it would hear all the contents, essentially. I just wanted to revisit that because we talked about it last time. But what happens is the head grabs onto this, and then the mental system, self, small s self, goes, okay, now I'm going to become open listening. And it's not going to become open listening. You are open listening now, and you can hear the head try to do that. And when it does that, you negate that movement as what you are. Because you are open listening now. So whatever is grabbing on and trying to say something, you can hear that from the openness, let's say. So it gets negated. It doesn't get listened to and followed. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to hit on that because we talked about it last time. But I'm going to try to find a new statement here in the book of stuff. There's one I was thinking about. See if I can find it. All right. Here's this thing from. This is from Guru Vachikakovai, which is actually not written by Ramana Maharshi. It's written by Muruganar, I think his name was, but it was read by Ramana, and I think it was like whatever they say. It's the most basis of whatever's going on. Yeah. So I think we'll take this. This is a cool little thing. I'm just gonna look at the chat here for a sec. Let's put into the scroll. As a therapist, I have worked with men and worked the chest up problem needs. Explain that each person must find his own body. Okay. All right, so I'm going to hit this statement here from Guru Vachika. Consider well and answer, please. Who is born and stays in bondage? And who has slit the web of birth and gained mukti? Mukti is like liberation. So that's the first section of this thing. Consider well and answer, please. Who is born and who stays in bondage? So, who is born? Obviously, the direct answer to that is me. So I, the sense of I, J, is born. And when that I comes up, it's pointing at a body. Yeah. So what is born? I am born. This body is born. So there's a thought I, and it's obviously identifying with this body. Yeah. And now who stays in bondage? So who's in bondage or who is suffering? I. I is in bondage, and again, here we are with the body. So the identification with the body also obviously has something to do with I. Who is born? I am. And who stays in bondage? I do. And who has slit the web of birth and gained mukti? Now, if you're going to gain mukti, liberation, and who has slit the web of birth and gained mukti? The answer again would be I. Yes? So then this goes on. When, as in sleep, the I thought has not arisen, are there any others, whether body-bound or free? So obviously, if you've read any Ramana Maharshi, and if you haven't, it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. The sense of I has a big part to play, yeah? And that sense of I is bound to this body. So who is born and stays in bondage? I do. Who has slit the web of birth and gained mukti? I would. Yeah? I. So that sense of I is of great importance. Everything would come after that sense of I. Birth, death, liberation and bondage would all be bound to the sense of I. When your head says I, you can hear that. What is being heard is not what is hearing. You can perceive that. What is being perceived is not what is perceiving. That sense of I is perceived. So it must not be what is perceiving, and it must not be what is hearing, yes? Which means that sense of I must not be your nature. Must not be your nature. Which means what comes after I, which would be birth and death, yes? I, this body, is what is born and what dies. I, this body, is what is in bondage and what is apparently going to become free. The I thought. Everything comes after that I thought. So if you are not that I thought, that would be of profound information, yes? That would be very important, because this idea of birth and death and liberation and bondage all come after that I thought. And you can hear the I thought. That ends a lot of stuff, yeah? So when things arise in your experience, like these eyeballs, see something. Are you those eyeballs? No, because they're of the body, yeah? Who does seeing arise to? I or me. And there you are again. And again, you can hear that. So whatever is aware, let's say, of that I thought would be before it, yes? Also, that thought of I comes and goes. This is the thing about birth and death. Birth happens, comes, and then you go. Death. Birth, death, yeah? So there's something which seems to be ever present, which is aware of this process of coming and going. So you mustn't be, at an absolute sense, the movement of coming and going. And then everything in your experience is coming and going. Emotions are coming and going, relationships are coming and going, the environment is coming and going, sounds are coming and going, thoughts are coming and going. The sense of you also comes and goes. So this is why the second part of this statement, there I lost it, look, I lost the part in the book. Okay, here we go. The second part, when, as in sleep, the I thought has not arisen. So when you go to sleep at night, there is no sense of I, yes? So obviously that sense of I comes and goes. But something knows of the dreaming. So if you have a dream at night, something knows essentially of that dreaming. That's why this is called, here now, the awake dream. Because something is aware of all of this happening, as the same way as when you're sleeping, something is aware of that dream, yeah? So when, as in sleep, the I thought has not arisen, are there any others, whether body-bound or free? Which is beautiful, whether you're body-bound or free, because it kind of gives a nod to who cares if you feel body-bound or you feel free. Both of those are not of you because they're based on a you. Yeah? Whether body-bound or free. I am body-bound. I'm suffering. Yeah? I am in bondage. I am free. Both of those are of I. Yeah? And you are not the sense of I. You can hear the sense of I. And this is really the beauty of the whole thing. It's like Ramana says, you stay on that point of I. If you leave that point, then you start speculating on bondage and freedom and the meaning and this and this and this. But all of that is based on the sense of I. Yeah? If you're not that sense of I, then the interest in freedom and bondage would become a lot less impactful. Yeah? Because what is interested in freedom and what is suffering from bondage would not be your absolute sense, or your nature, let's say. Yeah? And you can hear that I. Now there's sometimes people will think that if you can hear that I, the I is going to stop. Yeah? The me, the J-ness is going to stop. It's going to be kaput, like there will be no more sense of J-ness. But the sense of individuality is arising, yeah, and there is no doer thereof. Ramana has another great thing another thing, but it's a direct statement, but I don't remember what exactly it says. But it essentially says a radio, like it's one of those little radios that you can like walk around with, a mobile radio, yeah? It puts out sound, let's say, but if you open up the radio, there's nothing inside. It's just kind of an empty box. There's all these different parts, but there's no thing inside which is making a sound, yeah? So essentially, that's like the body. There's a body here, there's a sense of individuality within that body, but if you rip the body open, there's no thing in there called an individual, because there's no doer of what's being done. There's just happening. And one of the things of those happenings is an I, the idea me or I. And now that's presupposed to be a thing in the body. Presupposed meaning that the head already has you as a thing inside of this body, which is that I. And that would bind you to everything that comes after that I. And that's quite influential. But you can hear that I, you can perceive it. So that's a cool little part at the end when it says, when the I thought has not arisen, are there any others, whether body bound or free? The other thing that points at is, if there's a sense of I, but I'm not that I, if I'm not seeing from the sense of individuality, which would be seeing from these eyes of the body, these eyes see other, yeah? But if I'm not seeing from these eyes, are there other? Yeah? So it's a negation of duality in a way. So essentially, if you're not body bound, are there others? Because other is based on I-ness, yeah? Other is based on I-ness. Okay. So if you read, or if you ever heard of Banki, the Zen guy, I think it's a Banki or Benke or whatever, he has a whole thing about the unborn. What you are is of the unborn. Yeah, and that's a kind of another nod to that little statement there. You are of the unborn, meaning the ever-present. This body, so whatever is born and dies mustn't be you, yeah? Now when you go to sleep at night, there is no I thought. So essentially the sense of I is dead, and then when you wake up in the morning, there's I, me, yeah? I have awoken up. The great one, the God of the world has woken up. But the banking thing is you are the unborn. So you're not, what you are is not going to sleep or waking up. It's not born nor dies. So that you are not bound to bondage. You are not in bondage to death and what life, really. You are the opening listening in which these things move through, including the sense of you. And you can hear the sense of you. You're not going to do something in order to make the sense of you open listening. That doesn't work. It's like in the 12 steps, they say self can't get out of self. So a lot of spiritual practice is essentially self, J, trying to get out of J. Like I always wanted to get out of this. Yeah? So the natural thing, if I'm identified with this, is to try to get out of this as it. And that fails. That is self trying to get out of self. And self can't get out of self. Small less self cannot become not small less self. Its nature is small less self, and it's dualistic. Yeah? But you are not that. So this goes back to like the head hearing the message and then trying to become open listening. You are not going to become the open listening. What you are is already the open listening, yeah? You can hear what you're taking yourself to be. That's the whole thing about the Nisargadatta quote. It's a negation. It's not an affirmation, yeah? Essentially, you and I, as Jay, is not going to become whatever I am, yeah? I can see the Jayness. I can hear the Jayness, which means I mustn't be that. I'm aware of the Jayness, yes? Now, the Jayness is not going to become not Jay. It's not going to get before the sense of I. I can't get before itself, yeah? You are not the I. That's the negation, you see? That's the solution, really. That is like the solution. So you're not going to get out of bondage because you're not what is bound. The sense of being in bondage, yeah? Or the sense of being the one who's stuck. You are not that sense. That sense is always going to sense that because it's in a dualistic thing, yes? So one day the body feels free, one day the body feels bound. But you are not the body. That's the solution here. You're not going to become open listening. You are already open listening. What is trying to become is what you're not. It's like, see if I can find that Nisargadatta one that we read the other day. Because it highlights that. Yeah. The one which is listening, which you do not know is you. So what you are, you cannot know. Yeah? The head, the mental system knows things. It knows objects. Yes? What you are, the head cannot know it. You cannot become what you are. Yeah? The one which is listening, which you do not know, that is you. Because the head cannot know it, you see? And the one which you know is you. I know that I am me. He says, you are not that. And you can hear your head say, I am. So you are not that. When they say the I am is before the head goes, I am. As soon as the head goes, I or I am, you are not that. And you're not going to hold the head still forever. It's not going to stabilize. It's going to keep going. But you're still not that. You see? So the one which is listening, which you do not know, is you. And the one which you know is you, you are not. That's why it's a negation, is what, at least is what is landed for this. Negation. Because forever, for a long, long time, I thought I was going to know what I am, let's say. And he's negating that. He's saying that's a misunderstanding. The one which you know is you, you are not. He's cooking that idea right there, which is so good. The one which is listening, which you do not know, is you. So when open listening, the only thing that it can hear is what you're not. What it's aware of is of what you're not. So when your head goes, I know I'm this, you're not that. The only thing that can be heard is what you're not. And then when those things are negated, what remains? Okay. Wow. It stops all this movement. It's really incredible, the message. The message of non-duality or not to is really incredible. Because it shuts down the head's constant bickering and moving around of trying to obtain. I'm just going to look at the chat here for a sec. Let's see. When a person realizes this isn't just my energy. This isn't just my energy. I'm drawing from something bigger, yeah? So the my and the I'm drawing from something bigger. This is the thing. Who wrote that? Jim. This is the thing, Jim. You're seeing that now, yeah? My energy. So that is the head claiming the body. It's a great example right there. This isn't just my energy. Whose energy? Yeah? There's energy going on here for sure. Sensation, emotion, thoughts, ideas. This is all movements of energy. In a way, it's all like music. It comes and goes right through. There's different rhythms going on of thinking and feeling and whatever else is popping off. Yeah. There's energy. And then the head goes, my energy. And then the head says, I'm drawing from something bigger. So there's the I and the my. I, my are both at the forefront. The forefront of those, yeah? So you can see the head say, my energy, and it's claiming that it's drawing from something bigger. The my and the I that's claiming that is not you. That gets negated as what you are. It's important to see that the head will claim everything that it comes in contact with. Yeah? So energy in the body, the head goes my energy. Thoughts, the head goes my thoughts. Feelings, my feelings. Emotions, my emotions. No problem, but what binds us to the movement is the my. Now the my is what you are not. You can hear the my. You can hear the my. You can hear your head right now trying to obtain this message. It's trying to get it, or it's saying that you're not getting it, which is actually more true than getting it, because you and I cannot get what we are. We can only hear what we're not from what we are. The constant trying to get it is like another addiction. I went into recovery, and then right away my head grabbed onto spirituality, and it was like, now I'm going to become spiritual, yeah? So the head again is just claiming another thing, and I'll tell you that spiritual seeking is like just as painstaking as drinking was many times, because the head's obsession with trying to get free is endless, man, and it can't do it. You and I cannot get free. Now, the body is not going to become a not body. It's seeing that you're not the body. That's the thing. So energy, yes. Then the head goes, my energy. You see it in spades, essentially, yeah? Energy, my energy. You don't care about energy, but if it's your energy, there you go. Then it's a very meaningful energy. It has all kinds of ideas. I have to change the energy. I got to move the energy. My energy. Take the my, see that you're not the my, and the energy can do whatever it wants. Yeah. And usually the energy will sort itself out when I'm not involved with it. If I leave the body alone, the body will sort itself out. And if there's musicians here, my experience with this whole thing is when I don't mess with the music goes fine. As soon as I start to get involved and take that music to be my music, I want to switch that music and make that music this way, and it has to go like this, that music gets all distorted. So it's really the investigation here, and it's not much of an investigation. If you think the thought I, you can hear that thought. Not with the ears, of course, but from before it. Every other thought comes after I. The whole world comes after I. The world has no meaning until the head goes I, and then from that I it gives it meaning. No, okay. Who else is in here? Let's see. John from New Jersey. Nice. Tanya, Norfolk, England. Maya. So we do it how? Become free. You do it, you just see what you're not. Whatever is being perceived is not what is perceiving. So if you sit with that, you can perceive the body, you can perceive your thoughts, so those must be not your nature as what is perceiving. Now sometimes, a lot of times people need, the thinking is just too loud. We live too high up in our body for most people. When you're thinking, you're usually very addicted to the senses, so the eyes and the ears, for instance. So doing something like Hakuin's soft butter method for the body can be really helpful to turn down the volume of this thing, yeah? The volume of this often needs to be turned down. It's just part of the game. 12-step recovery for the alcoholic turns the volume down of this thing so that it can be inquired into, essentially. Yeah. But ultimately it's just a seeing of what you're not. It's a hearing of what you're not. So whatever can be perceived is not what is perceiving. Whatever can be perceived, essentially you are not that. Yeah. That is not awareness, obviously, because awareness is aware of that. You can hear what you're not. Clearly. Very clearly. Yeah. Okay. That's good. It's like when we cut out whatever we were addicted to, we sometimes become addicted. Yes! Addiction to trying to heal, in my experience, is just as bad as addiction. It was as bad as drinking in many ways. Sometimes worse, because at least drinking, when I'm loaded drunk, I do crazy stuff. So people are like, please stop doing this. Yeah? But when you're doing spiritual practice, it's painted in this big noble thing. Yeah? Like, oh, what you're doing is noble, and you're going to become the great one. That's right. But this is really good to see, Maya. What you're saying here is beautiful. The head will claim whatever it comes into contact with, whether it's depressive thoughts, whether it's drinking, or whether it's spirituality. It's going to claim that. Yeah? And it's going to say, okay, this happened I know this happening. My head claimed spiritual practice and said, okay, now I'm going to become a spiritual practitioner. And through that spiritual practice, I am going to become effulgent or pure or something. That failed a lot. That's why we're here, actually, talking about this. Because that fails. Because the sense of me cannot get out of that sense of me. So the idea of healing, yeah, I is based on I. I need to heal or I'm healed. Yeah. And then if you feel healed, there's going to be a day when it's going to flip the other way. I need more healing. Why? Because this is a dualistic thing. And it can't get out of it. And I would tell you, just like you said, Maya, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to me that other people see that. Other heads see that. Healing becomes an addiction. That's right. And that addiction is getting reinforced more and more and more in this world right now because there's more and more money made from doing that. So there's an idea that you're never going to be healed, yes? And in some aspects, the body, isn't going to finish healing. Because it's of up and down, left and right, healing and sickness. But what you are, as the hearing of what is heard, does not need to be healed because it was never hurt in the first place, because it's unborn. Free. I'm going to get free? No, free now. As the body? No, the body definitely doesn't feel free. Come on. It's like you read Advaita, existence, consciousness, bliss. Do you feel that way? No, I don't feel that way. Great, you are not that which doesn't feel that way. You can hear your head say that. You can hear your head say, I am not existence, consciousness, bliss. Exactly. So it highlights that beautifully. because the head is quite loud, so you can see that. Unreal. Wow. It ends so much seeking, constantly, constantly, constantly. Yeah. I write music, music comes to me. There's the me again, eh? You gotta see the me. Your head is claiming that music. Yeah? If anything, music, from my experience, comes through this. It doesn't come from this. It might come through this. Yeah? Then the head will go, that's my music. So the head is claiming that music as my music. But that is not the case. That is the mental system's claiming, the same way we were just saying to Maya there. Yeah? The head is claiming spiritual practice or claiming bondage and then going off to healing. Yeah? Music is just music. My music is the head's claiming of that presentation of music. Unbelievable. That's so great to see that. Yeah? It's so great to see that. Wow. So that's beautiful to see. My. And you don't get rid of the my. You see the my. That gets rid of it in many ways. What is being perceived is not what is perceiving. That cuts the head off the dragon right there. What is being perceived is not what is perceiving. Your head says my, that is perceived. There you go. You don't have to get rid of it. It's this, like this idea of kill the ego. Yeah? I'm going to kill the ego, but the ego doesn't exist. The ego comes and goes. The sense of J comes and goes. And also, the ego is not the problem. It's the one who it's arising to is the problem. Ego is not a problem. My ego, big problem. Money, no problem. My money, nah, becomes a little shifty. Relationships, fine. My relationships, you see, there's something coming before all of this. Before music, before ego, before healing, before bondage. Me. Me. This is one of the most beautiful aspects in my experience of the 12 steps, is when you walk into that room, that focus goes directly on me. Me. I am powerless. And when I try to take power, my life becomes unmanageable. Me. Yeah? The focus is not on the music, it's not on the relationships, it's not on school, it's not on the parents, it's not on how I was brought up or how I'm getting put down. It's on the me. Yeah? Me. Self. Small s self would be me. That's it. And it's not the identification with the little me, it's the identification with the little me and the identification with the big me are both based on a sense of I. That sense of I is what is inquired into. I'm not the little me and I'm not the big me. Because there's no I to identify with them. It's part of the cycle of ideas, you see? So you can hear the thoughts and you can hear the sense of being the thinker. You can hear sounds and you can hear your head claiming and identifying those sounds, labeling those sounds. And if you go, who is aware of the labeling? I am. There you are again. And you can hear that. Yeah? This is the beauty about these statements. Like what is being perceived and what is being heard is not what is hearing, or what is being perceived is not what is perceiving, is they end the whole thing. They shut the whole thing down right away. It's all you need. It's all you need. Really, one statement can end the whole game. What is being heard is not what is hearing. Who is asking the question or writing in the box there? I am. You can hear that I am, you are not that. So questions are valuable, but the real point of a question, as Ramana would say, is who has that question? I do. You're not that I. That I gets negated as what you are, yeah? A negation would be like making negative rather than positive. You can hear it. So if you are open listening now, then what is being heard is of what you are not. Now if you listen and the head goes, I'm going to do this, and you obey that head, you are back on the seeking, yeah? The head is trying to get out of being a head. Small as self from recovery is trying to get out of being a self, and self can't get out of self. It can't move out of that box. It's its nature, yeah? There's a sense of subjectivity to a bunch of objects. That is a dualistic movement, and you are not of two. The beauty of it is it shuts down all of this movement. It shuts down this movement, and this movement, and this movement, and this movement, yeah? With the idea of I, and in Buddhism they say there is no self, and in Dvaita they say there is no doer. That is both pointing at the sense of I. And the quote by Ramana, presupposing the existence of a non-existent thing. The I, sense of me, is a non-existent thing. It comes and goes. It doesn't have its own reality. Yeah? It doesn't have its own existence. It gets existence from the open space of listening. That is like the electricity that the I comes and goes through. And then the I can come and go, and everything with included. But if you're not tied to it, beautiful. That's the solution. That's the solution. So when we do like the sound stuff on here, that sound is a method really for the head, the focus to listen to, yeah? When you're listening to the sound of those things, those soundscapes we do, you hear your head come up and say, I like this, I don't like this. You're not that. You can hear that as well, yeah? So sound is really just a way to settle the mind down enough, yeah, that you can then inquire into who. And you can hear that inquiry. So you see you're not what you are from an absolute standpoint, or not standpoint, from an everywhereness, is not of that inquiry. Yeah. Wow, beautiful. All right, very cool. So thanks so much for coming and listening. If you have any other questions, you can just chuck them down into the box. The thing I love, one of the many beautiful things about Advaita is it's not a dispute, yeah? It's like a message. So that message gets presented, and you can take it or leave it. Try it on. Yeah? Yeah. It's not really a... Yeah, I like that. My head always wants to dispute everything. It wants to have all these different takes and ideas. And this message shut that down. And that's like the relief. Yeah, this whole thing about relief. The relief to me is that it just gets shut down right away. As soon as the head tries to come up with its next great epiphany, it just gets not that. Yeah, I can hear that. So if there's any other questions, please feel free to write in the little box there. I think there was something above. I don't know. Margaret. I don't know if Margaret, you still here? Yves Lines, France. I've never been to France, but I heard it's nice over there. I don't know if Margaret's still here or not, but anyways, that's okay. You always write me a message. Cool. All right, well, if there's nothing else, I think we'll leave it there. If you want to donate, you can do it through here or PayPal. I got a PayPal on my email as well. And if you have questions or something, feel free to message. I'll put some more of these in for next week. Next week. Not early in the week, there's some other stuff going on. But after that, put some more in. And yeah, we can keep coming to it. The mental system is very repetitive, so it's nice to meet it with stuff. Yeah. More lives related to recovery and addiction. Yeah. All right, we can touch more on that in these for sure. If you have any specific questions, Maya, feel free to ask. Yeah. But there's in the 12 steps, there's the word self. Yeah, there's the word self. Self-reliance has failed us. The focus of the 12 steps is on self-centeredness, self-pity, self. Yeah. Well, you're not that self. Self is what has defeated you, or is defeating you. Yeah. Hey, Beverly. Good to see you. So essentially, we're talking about self. The thing about all of this, is you can only really talk about what you're not. Talking about what we are is useless in many ways, because as soon as concepts are put onto the absolute, it gets very distorted and the head tries to grab it. So we're really talking about what we can hear, or what we're aware of. Yeah? You're aware of self. So the head that's going off, which is making us very uncomfortable, you know that in a way from before it. Yeah. So this message of not to really is talking about the 12 steps. There's not much space of separation between those two. But essentially, the mental system is self. Reliance on that mental system is what is defeating us, meaning making our life very uncomfortable. That mental system is programmed and conditioned by whatever's gone on in that life, and maybe before that life, who knows, yeah? Or your life. So whatever's gone on in your life, or maybe before the life of this body, has this thing conditioned to see life a certain way, and when I listen to that conditioning, it makes me very uncomfortable, essentially. Why? Because I'm not that conditioning. So if the head is seeing from the viewpoint or the core belief that J is less than and everything is J's fault, if I'm listening and living from that standpoint, then J's life is going to be super uncomfortable. Now, 12 steps puts a word on that sense of J, self. If I, what I am, relies on self, or relies on the mental system, it's going to defeat me and my life is going to become unmanageable. That's, to me, is like the basis of recovery. Yeah? So then we move the faith away from the mental system and we put it into a higher power in that 12-step program. And then the life gets better. Not by bettering the J-ness, by losing faith in it. Yeah? So Advaita really is saying, you're not the J-ness. And it's saying a very similar thing. So, yeah, we could definitely talk more about 12-step recovery. So, yeah. But that, to me, that's like the basis. And that's where these two things cross lines, yeah? You are not self. Self is what's defeating you. Through listening to it. Yeah? Through listening to it. And, yeah. The 12-step arrogance. Sorry, I'll come back to that, Maya, just a second. There's something else. Meditation, when thoughts pop up unwanted, to say not this, not this. I know this is... yeah. But what also gets negated, is that Beverly writing that? Yeah, it is. Nice. the thing is, when you say not this, yeah, there's a sense that there's you who's the one saying not this, not this. That you who's saying not this also gets negated as what you are. So yeah, I'm not the eyes, I'm not the ears, I'm not the body. And then I'm not the thought, I'm not that. And then the head will go, I see the thought, I'm not that. And you're also not that. Good. 12-step jargon of being powerless. I struggle with claiming I, because we are what we say we are. You're not what's claiming I, Maya. That's the head doing that. And yes, I am the thing. This is a beautiful thing. Maya, you got all kinds of good points here. The sense of I does not agree with the idea of powerlessness. Yeah? J has a sense of power, but that sense of power is false. Yeah? And that has been proven over and over again through extensive amounts of suffering. So I don't need to do any more research to know that I am powerless. But the mental, the head, because there's no doer of that head, and it's conditioned, it thinks it still has power. Yeah, that's why the steps never end in many ways. Because self keeps presenting itself as powerful. Yes? And that's why faith is put in the program rather than the mental system. Because that fact of powerlessness does not end. The head keeps thinking it has power. Yeah? This is a little tricky. This is one of the things. When you see what you're not, people think what you're not is going to stop. And it does not. So you can see your head say, I'm suffering and I'm not whatever, going to become free. You can see that. Yeah? So when you see that, there's for some reason this idea that that's going to end. But the head keeps telling you that you're in bondage. The head keeps telling you that you have power. That sense of I have power over, let's say, other people, which would be the big I have power, yeah, continues on. But it does not change the fact of powerlessness, which is why they use the serenity prayer. Accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change that I don't have power over people. Accept the things that I cannot change. But the thing is, J, the mental, does not want to accept that. Because it feels, I feel I have power over other people. Yeah? Well, try to exert that power over other people and see what happens. That power will fail, and then you will start to feel very uncomfortable. Now I've done that many, many times, and it's created enough slaps to my head with a baseball bat. I'm not going to do more research on that. But I've done enough research on the idea of thinking that this thing has power over other things, yeah? But sometimes immense suffering is what it takes in the 12 steps. So powerlessness is a great one because it's step 1. And they say in recovery, the only thing that you need to do perfectly is step 1. The only thing would be step 1. I am powerless over so much stuff. And when I try to take power that I don't have, my life becomes unmanageable. That's right. When I listen to the mental system, rather than sit back into the listening, my life becomes unmanageable quite quickly. Because this mental system is conditioned to see a certain way. Yeah? And that way is this versus everything else. And that is not reality. This head is playing God. And when I listen and go with this head, this life becomes quite unmanageable. Mm-hmm. Is there a higher I without attachment? Who wants to know that, Beverly? You do. You can hear the head say, I do. Yeah? What is being heard is not what is hearing. Great, Maya. You come back. We'll hit on the 12 steps more. But know that if you talk about not two, you're not even one step away from the 12 steps. Yeah. Those two things cross a lot. A lot. So if you're in that program and you have the big book, go read the big book and see the word self. You are not that, whatever that is, that word, you are not that in an absolute sense. Relying on self is what defeats us. Yeah, self thinks it has power. It is powerless. But it thinks it has power, meaning you think you have power. And if you're in the program, if you're in the 12-step program, you've probably already done enough research to know that when you exert that power, which is a false power, suffering is what comes after that, yeah? That's great. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to think you still have power. So if you say, I struggle with the thing of powerlessness, that's right. But you, who is struggling with powerlessness, is what you're not. You can hear that idea of you. And that idea of you will continue to struggle with powerlessness because it thinks it has power. So in AA they say admit powerlessness. Just admit powerlessness. Yeah? And then what happens? Eventually, if you go through the steps, you see that you are not self. And what happens is a bunch of power. Oh, that's so good, man. All right. So who wants to know that question, Beverly? You do. Who are you? Who am I? Yeah? What is that I? You are not of that I. What is being heard is not what is hearing. What is being perceived is not what is perceiving. You can perceive that I. This is one of the reasons that sometimes I prefer just to do the music things, because you sit down, you put the headphones on, and you just listen. Yeah. Then the head comes up. Who is listening? I am. You're not that. You can hear all of that. It's like part of the music in a way. Yeah. The mental system merges with the sound. Sensation merges with the sound. That's right. There's a unification and then a space that pervades. You are the space of open listening before the head comes in and claims that space.